Finally. I went from Tim. Oh, he's on. It's Tuesday, the 15th of December, 2020. In this match reaction show, we're going to be reviewing what we've just watched, which was an amazing last-minute victory for Blackpool at Bloomfield Road against Hull City. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast match reaction. Blackpool 3, Hull City 2. Well. What have we just witnessed, boys? Firstly, apologies to everyone for the slight delay in getting going there. Obviously, it's straight after the game, so we've got to get things all set up and ready. We've got to get the little nice graphics ready. See 3-2 there, Blackpool Hull. I was frantically changing that multiple times just before we went on air, so that's had to change, and it's been a bit of a mad rush. So sorry about the delay, everyone. Hello to everyone listening on the audio podcast, and hello to everyone out there on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. What a show we've got to give to you now, and Tim is here with it. So evening, Tim.
Evening, how are you? I hope you look as buzzing as I am.
Tim, you've got the wrong mic on again, so I suggest you go into your settings and change it. This happens every time.
We're rushing on, that's the problem.
I think you'd learn by now. We've only done it about 50,000 times.
Sound like you're on the International Space Station.
To be honest, I'm getting the same problem with you as well, actually, guys. So I don't know whether it's anything to do with the thing we've got going on the side.
Trust me, it's not. It's you.
All right, okay.
Go into your settings, as I've told you about. I've shown you multiple times. So, yeah, if you can just do that whilst Nick and I introduce this. But, Nick, that was just unbelievable what we've just watched.
Oh, what a second half, particularly. It was we went through all the emotions there, didn't we? I was 1 minute you're talking about us hanging on for the win, and then it's not to be. Draw, still not a bad result against top of the league. And then CJ pops up with that in the 94th minute, and all's good in the world again. Fantastic.
It was funny on the chat, Nick, wasn't it? Because people were, I was there going, for fuck's sake, Hamilton, just square it. Fucking Hamilton. And 2 minutes later, he pops up and does that. So all was forgiven, I think, wasn't it?
The thing is, I've started muting all the different groups now because everyone's at different stages watching, and I follow, and you end up, I think we've talked about it before, you end up finding out about it beforehand. So I just muted it and turned my phone away, and what a result. Absolutely fantastic.
Look at Tim fiddling away there. Fuck me. Jesus Christ. Still can't hear you. Where's Sam? Go and get Sam. Go and get Sam. He's not there.
It's like Eurovision. We're going to Polton now. Polton, are you there? Tim Fielding. We'll
I think
carry
this is
on,
going to
John.
be me and you, Nick, tonight. I think it's going to be.
It is.
Right, Tim. Right. Press Command and Spacebar. Right. Apologies, listeners. We'll just talk Tim through this first. You all chat amongst yourselves. Right. Press Command and Spacebar. Type SE. Take you to settings.
I know what I'm doing. It's showing everything right in my end. I promise you.
Right. This is going to be the John and Nick show, I think, tonight. Right, Nick. Right, Nick. I'll get the. I'll share the screen. Let's get the lineups up. So, Nick, that lineup there. Not playing with our favoured front two as usual.
Yeah,
Any
we were all
thoughts on what you've seen there?
Well, I thought it might be Medina and Yates. Wasn't surprised to see Turton come back in. Maybe we talked about Garbett coming in as well, and there was again quite a lot of debate on the chat as whether that had happened or not, and it did do. We talked about Yates and Medine being most effective when they both play, so that was maybe a little bit disappointing. But again, keep saying it, don't we? Saturday, Tuesday, and he's just trying to keep it fresh. So no massive surprises, I don't suppose.
I think, yeah, like you've said, the main bone of contention was Luke Garbett, wasn't it? I was championing his cause, and quite a few people were in the chat, a few people weren't. So let's move on to the actual match action now. I'll see how Tim's doing. How are you doing, Tim?
I've sussed out what the problem was.
Good evening, Bolton.
Having the USB connection into the laptop I've got, because it's got one of those new connections. It wasn't quite connected. It was caught on a notebook of my daughter's, so it wasn't on when I thought it. But this is honestly, we're all rushing on the last minute because I only had about 2 minutes to get on.
Yeah.
I think everybody.
What's that saying, Nick, in broadcasting? Never work with children, animals, and solicitors, I think.
Definitely.
Right, Tim, as we can talk to you now, let's get on with reviewing the match action. I'll just bring the old screen up again, which is gone. There we go. How do you think we started the game, Tim? I'll just try and get this a bit bigger.
Yeah, I mean, the first 5 minutes or so was real sort of gut. I was going to say blood and gut, a good something else, and blood and guts, wasn't it? Because both teams went at it hammer and tongue, didn't they? Right from the off. Really, no time on the ball. Tackles flying in all over the place. Everybody had to be on top of the game just to keep up with the pace, I think. I mean, I know the commentators were observing, weren't they, about that first 5 minutes? It was just there was no time to catch your breath. And I know there's been a few comments about Dougal's performance tonight, but I think that midfield battle was something else tonight. And I don't think anybody ever got any time on the ball. And it was great just to see that, we were able to go toe to toe with them and get stuck in where we needed to and play a bit of quality when we could. So, it was, it's one of those. I'm still on a high now, not come down yet, because all through the game, it was edge of your seat stuff and heart in the mouth 1 minute and then jumping off the sofa the next. But yeah, really, really, really pleasing start. And I think we matched them when I think they probably planned to come out the blocks to try and hit us on the break quite early and take the sting out of us.
So, Nick, over to you. Tim's described the start of the game quite accurately there, but the first real chance of the game came on 14 minutes. Luke Garbett fizzes a shot just wide of the far post, and Chisnall I just remember Chisnall saying, "Oh, he's tried to power that in rather than just try and place it," and he didn't, though, did he? It was he tried to slot it into the far corner. He's saying he's trying to smash it, and he hasn't. Garbett desperately unlucky. A great shot.
He did exactly what. Yeah, exactly what you'd want him to do. I actually had only just about my stream was all over the place for the first 10 minutes, so that was kind of the first proper bit of action I could see. I had the QPR Stoke commentary for 10 minutes as well, which was interesting. It just makes it very difficult to concentrate when there's a different commentary going on. Although sometimes you think there was with Chizzy, but he got across it. He struck it well. Just a foot the wrong side of the post, unfortunately. And I thought early on their keeper looked quite dodgy as well. He was, he was looking really shaky. So decent start.
Tim, what did you think of that chance from Garbett? Obviously, in our chat group, there was a lot of debate with regards to Garbett's inclusion in the starting lineup. Just you missed that. So what was your thoughts on the starting lineup, and what did you think of that chance from Garbett then?
Yeah, dealing with the lineup first. I was reasonably happy with it. Reasonably happy with it in that I still wish we'd started with Medine and Yates up front, but I felt that it was a team to go out there and try and do something. I still think when we're in 4-4-2, we look such a better side and a more attacking side. But yeah, probably the slight surprise was the fact that he went with Garbutt ahead of Husband, bearing in mind who we were playing. But I see that as a positive. I think that's a positive move by us. And I think as we see as the game goes on, whilst Garbutt's got his weaknesses, what he brings to the team is a different attacking dimension. In relation to the first chance, I was having problems with my stream as well, so I was in the process of switching across from the watching on the telly to the laptop, and but I saw it on a replay, and it was a half decent chance, I thought, but it was very much a sort of flashing view of it, because I had that blue circle going around in the middle of the screen for the first 5 or 10 minutes, and I had to take emergency action. Hence the reason why I wasn't quite set up with my laptop for kickoff.
Your own home studio build can't come quick enough, Tim.
Oh, anybody got any other builder out there who's available? Tell them to give me a ring, because I'm I've got all my daughter works from home, so all her stuff's on the desk. I'm having to plonk this laptop on, so hence the problems.
As a show producer, you're giving me nightmares. But back to the game. Nick, we went ever so close on 24 minutes. Courtesy of an own goal. Matt Ingham playing the ball on the line. For me, it never looked like it had gone across the line, but it was a hairy moment for their keeper, and it was good that we were pressing for goals at the sort of mid stage of the first half, if you remember.
Yeah. I said before that I thought, particularly the keeper looked a bit shaky in that first 20, 25 minutes or so. There's no VAR or anything, unfortunately, but yeah, it was very close. And like Tim said at the start, I just thought, you could see why they were top of the league. They're not a brilliant side, but they gave us, I think, our sternest test we've had, certainly in terms of pressure as we went into the second half. It was a real battle, wasn't it? And it's great to see that we can match these teams, even when we mix it up a bit with the formation or, changes of players. So yeah, it was a really, really good game.
Yeah, Tim, as Steve Hutchins says, I personally prefer the 4-4-2, but guess we can't be too rigid with the formations. And it's a decent point, really, because we've switched the formation throughout the game to match the situation. It's worked out great for Critchley, hasn't it? But could have gone either way, but it's worked out in the end. So we can't be too critical, I don't think.
I think you just have to look at, Medin's like a player reborn for me at the moment. And we can say, well, he was fresher because he came on after 60 odd minutes, as we'll talk about. But I think he brings a different dimension to our play, and I think he causes all sorts of problems to the opposition. And I think Yates plays better with him. So it's a bit of a conundrum, really, because I've got to say, I thought Anderson, and I know he was probably a bit quieter in the first half, but I thought Anderson did well today. And probably if you were going to sacrifice anybody today, it would probably be Kai. But then again, on another week, Kai can be a match winner. So there's plenty of good selection problems, which is very, very encouraging from the manager's perspective. It's important, and our perspective, it's important that we pick the right team for the right games. And I think we've got to say, probably on balance, we did tonight. And then we've beaten the league leaders, haven't we? So we can't be too critical as to the way it was approached, I don't think.
I think Nick, as Tim's just said there, we've beaten the league leaders, and that's just escaped my head almost. They were the league leaders, and we've beaten them. We've not been outclassed, and we've given a bloody good game, haven't we?
We have, yeah. And similar to Portsmouth, who are another good side, we've taken 3 points against both of them, which is probably something you maybe didn't think we would do when we were looking at the start of the season, particularly with the start we had. So I think it's great that we've got strength in depth. We've said we'd like to see Yates and Medine. I can see why he does mix it up a bit. we probably need another striker in the January transfer window. He's probably got that in mind, maybe just resting one or the other of them at the moment because, as we say, games are coming thick and fast, and we don't want to be in a situation where they pick up a knock or a strain and one of them's out for 2, 3, 4 weeks because we can't afford to be without them. So I can understand why he's doing it, definitely.
There was Cliff Smith's made a good point there. Yates and Medine both put in decent shifts, but another striker or strikers must be top priority in Jan, and Bison's raises a decent point there. Peterborough are league leaders too, and we've also beaten them and the mighty Fleetwood, so it's all good, isn't it? Going back to the game itself then, Tim. Hull took the lead on 38 minutes, if you remember this. Malik Wilkes shows great control, takes a touch and knocks the ball past Maxwell to put Hull up on 38 minutes. Some people were being critical of Garbutt for his tracking of the defenders. Do you think that was a bit harsh? Or
yeah, I mean, I think the guy did quite well actually with a difficult ball into the box. Yeah, I mean, you can be critical, but the attacking player is always going to have a slight advantage because they're going to start the run and then you're going to track them. And it came in near post. It was, I think, if he did that 10 times, he would only score 1. He sort of half hooked it over Maxwell, didn't he? He improvised, didn't he? He improvised very well, and I think most players would have tried to bring it down. And I think then Garbutt would have been fine. But yeah, I mean, these are the compromises you make, don't you? Do you go for an all-out defender who? I mean, listen, Husband hasn't been infallible this season by any stretch of the imagination, has he? So, but do you go for an all-out defender in the hope that you don't get concede in situations, or do you have someone like Garbutt who brings a completely different dimension to your set plays and forward play from left back? And I think I know what my answer to that is.
Nick, a decent shout from Steve Hutchin there. They're saying fab to see us win from a losing position. And if you cast your mind back to earlier in the season, when we're going behind in games, we ain't coming back into it, are we?
No, definitely not. And again, it's really pleasing to see that we've added that to that to the side of our game, sort of thing, that we don't let our heads go down, and we've got the quality to keep going. I lost the stream then a bit when we were talking about the goal, and unfortunately, I lost the stream when it happened as well because I saw them going down the wing, and then next thing it was in the back of the net, and I was looking at the chat, and there was a bit of comment about, was Garbutt at fault? But similar to Tim, I think the pros outweigh the cons for me from what I've seen in terms of what he gives us going forward, his set piece delivery. So he, I'd be starting him more often than not, definitely.
Which Tim nicely segues us onto Jerry Yates' goal just before the stroke of half time, which levelled things up for Blackpool 1-1.
Yeah, there was actually a fantastic, just before the actual main phase of play, there was a fantastic crossfield ball, wasn't there, by Dougal right to Hamilton's feet. It was sublime. And then as the move builds from there, there's a ball goes out to the left. Can't remember if it was from Dougal again. I think it might have been. And I thought the way that Garbutt controlled it on the run gave him probably 2 or 3 yards of extra space against the defender that was coming in. He sort of, it's hard to describe actually, but he came in on the air and he pushed it forward with his first touch and just gave himself that few seconds, well, not for seconds, but half a second that he needed, and then he drilled a ball right across the box from the left into with a lot of pace. And we had Yates come in on it, and although Chizzy, I think afterwards tried to give Anderson 2 goals later on because he said he's got his second, but Yates Yates got in at the back post and did what he's best at, a goal poacher in the 6-yard box, and I think we were all dancing around our respective living rooms, weren't we, at that?
Nick, what was your thoughts on the?
Garbutt will bring that into a game. And he's effectively playing as a winger at that point, isn't he? And a very, very effective winger. And it was great to see, particularly because of the the slight criticism a few minutes earlier in relation to his positioning on their goal. It was good to see that he played such a pivotal role in the equaliser.
Nick, your thoughts quickly on Joe Yates' goal?
Similar to Tim, great from Garbutt. That's what he gives us going forward. He's drilled it across, and it's very, very difficult for defenders to defend against a ball like that. And similarly for a keeper, do I come, do I stay? And, it's perfect for a striker like Jerry Yates. He loves chances like that and thankfully put it in the back of the net. And, I think overall in that first half, we probably deserve to draw level.
Okay, Tim, coming into the second half now, I'm just trying to cast my mind back to chances of note. And I think the main thing for me was the substitutions, because we were getting a bit overrun, weren't we, in the midfield?
Yeah, well, I think Kai had, for the second game on the trot, perhaps. I think there was, to be fair, the commentary on iFollow probably called it. I don't think he did anything wrong, but he didn't. He wasn't bringing anything to the game for me. He was average, and when you're playing league leaders and when you need the players to be playing better than average, and we were having a little bit of a toss up, weren't we, as to whether it be Anderson or whether it be Kai that would make way. But I think everybody realised we needed Medine on just to try and turn the game our way, and it was the right call on the substitution. I think on balance, it was the right call on the player to take off as well. I think actually Anderson, although he didn't have the best first half, had a very, very good second half, and I think as soon as Medine was introduced, straight away we saw the different dimension that he brings and his aerial power and the way that he brings other players into the game, and that at the end, I think, was the match-winning substitution, albeit relatively early on. I just think from that point, we weren't always the best team, but we had something different that we didn't have beforehand, and it was something different that was actually going to make a difference.
So, Nick, coming to you now, there's just a very interesting stat there coming from one of the listeners on Twitter. Thanks, Dave. First league game of the season when we've scored more than 2 goals. That's quite a statistic, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And we've talked, haven't we, throughout the season about, maybe trying to be a bit more decisive on the edge of the area, get a few more shots in. Because as the saying goes, you shoot, you score. And yeah, interesting, isn't it, that it's taken us that long to score 3, and we left that as late as we possibly could as well.
Yeah. So just getting your views now on the substitution on 60 minutes. It was called by Colin Greenall, I think, on the radio, replacing Kai. I think Kai had to go, didn't he? He was in and out of the game. And
like Tim says, yeah, he hadn't necessarily done a lot wrong, but probably hadn't done too much in terms of attack, that sort of thing, to have much of an influence on the game. Looked a bit disinterested at times. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's a funny player.
Yeah.
But definitely the right one for me at the right time as well. And we've talked about substitutions, haven't we? And they've not always gone right for me. It's disrupted us quite often, particularly when you're chucking 3 on at once. But I thought it was absolutely spot on. We needed Medine. It was the right time, and he just makes such a difference, even if he's not always directly involved. It's just his presence, and it gives their defence something to think about. And they took Tom Eaves off, didn't they? Who I thought caused quite a lot of, he was giving our centre halves, he's very physical, isn't he? And he was giving them quite a few problems. So I was quite relieved to see him come off, to be honest.
So, Tim, from what you were watching, did we go to a 4-4-2?
Yeah, I think probably Yates might have dropped off a little bit, but essentially that's what it was. I think, as I saw it, Anderson went out to the left and replaced Kai, and then we pushed Yates up alongside Medine and went to a more 4-4-2. The slight problem I think it brought for us was that I think Dougal and Robson had a real hard battle on their hands in that middle, and were probably outnumbered more often than not. So again, I know there's a few comments coming in saying Dougal's was playing under par. I actually don't think he was. I just think he was having to cover a lot of ground, and what we saw of him tonight, which I liked, it's a different side of him. We saw the player who just battled and got his foot in and got tackles in and mixed it a bit, but probably didn't get as much time to play the nice, pretty football and as much space as he perhaps normally would. And that's a testament to Hull, I think. Really, I think Hull are a good side. They recruited well, I think, the year before they went down, and I think they've kept quite a bit of that team together, and they know how to play football. And I know we were talking, weren't we, again on the chat about whether we should, when we brought the substitute on later on, whether it should have been whether we should have put another player on. And for me, I just felt they could cope as long as we were given an attacking option at the other end. And when we did make changes, I think it was on about 80 odd minutes when we brought Virtue on. I think that was a recognition at that point that they really needed a little bit of extra help in there.
Nick, if you just look at that comment from Matt, we absorbed a lot of pressure throughout this game. However, we looked dangerous on the break throughout, and that's a great point because we did.
Yeah, I mean we've got that pace, haven't we? So much of our attacking play comes on that kind of quick counter attack. Give it CJ down the right, and off he goes. And it was, like I said earlier, that's probably the most sustained pressure I think we've probably come under all season in terms of, we weren't really holding onto the ball that well, and they were just coming at us. And like I said, you could see why they were top of the league. And although they've scored another, but I thought overall we absorbed it really well, and we're always going to have a chance on the break with the pace we've got out wide.
So the substitution for Blackpool came on 60 minutes, Tim, and it's paid dividends just 6 minutes later. Keshi Anderson's put Blackpool 2-1 up, and a great team move, and nicely slotted away by Keshi. Finishes as he does, just calm, cool, collected, and strokes it in.
Good work from Maxwell, I have to say, as well, with the way that he played the ball forward well. Nice touch from Medine, and then that, and he buried it, didn't he, Anderson? It was an absolutely fantastic strike, and justified the decision, I think, for Critchley to stick with him rather than pull him and leave Kai on. I think Keshi showed how to do it coming in on the left, and again another out of the seat, out of the couch, dancing around the living room, which is what we want to be doing. I mean, just taking a step back a minute, how good would it have been there tonight with 10,000 on or something like that, which we would have probably had with what they would have brought with them as well. I mean, it would have been absolutely electric. So, but yeah, it was. It's good for him as well, because he's had to bide his time on the subs bench a bit, hasn't he? And he's had his few problems with injuries, and it was good to see him get a goal for me, and such a good goal as well.
So Nick, coming to you now. We're playing a 4-4-2, and it's a big boot upfield, one touch banging in. It didn't come from the training ground at Melwood, did it?
Well, like Tim says, you've got to give credit to Chris Maxwell. It wasn't an aimless hoof up the field. He knew what he was doing and who he was aiming for. And, like I said, Medine, he gets in there and gets involved and causes defenders a problem. It's come off to Keshi, and we've been in positions like that this season, and we've maybe hesitated and then turned back, and it's ended up fizzling out, and you're screaming at him to put his foot through it, and that's what he did, and it was a great finish. Yeah, it was direct, but I'm not going to complain. I was up out of my seat as well.
So we've gone 2-1 up, Tim, and it was real backs to the wall stuff. I think for the next 10 minutes, we did have a chance kind of against the run of play on 76 minutes when the Hull players headed it against his own post, and Ekpateta's follow-up goal bound cleared. We really needed another formation change, I think, at this point, because we're 4-4-2. We're overrunning midfield, and they looked dangerous, didn't they? And I was worried at this point in the game he's made another
Yeah,
change.
I think as we saw, I think Robson was probably tiring a bit, wasn't he? He was wincing a bit. Actually, and I know when Virtue came on, I think a lot of us thought that Yates was going to come off for him, didn't we? And then he takes Robson off, but I think Robson was actually had given his all and probably was just ready for a breather. And for me, actually, I think I've always liked Virtue, and I actually, bar one ball where I think it was a bit loose. I actually thought he had a great 15 minutes when he was on, and it's fantastic to have him back because he's a central midfield player who will not only get stuck in and go box to box, but he'll score a few goals as well. And I think we have missed him this season, and it'll be interesting to see whether he can cement a place down, because I think him and Dougal could work quite well together. And but yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise because I think we half expected Critchley to go slightly more defensive, and he didn't.
It was a like-for-like change almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty much. Yeah, if anything, a slightly more attacking change because Virtue's a player who pushes forward a bit more, but he'll probably have just told Dougal to sit in and let Virtue push into the other half and act as a more covering defender than he might do when he plays with Robson.
Nick, was it the correct change for you, a like-for-like player, or would you have switched the formation around? Perhaps.
Well, yeah, I thought he might have done, but like Tim said, I think it was purely down to Robson was out on his feet. You could tell when he came off, he'd given absolutely everything. Him and Dougal had a real battle all night in midfield, and like Tim said earlier, with Kenny Dougal, he didn't get to run the show like he normally does, but that wasn't him necessarily having an off game. I think it was what he was up against with Hull being such a good side, and after we went 2-1 up, it was real pressure, wasn't it? We couldn't hang on to the ball, and it was wave after wave after wave, and I was thinking, are we going to hang on? But you have to say they probably deserve the equaliser.
I'd say so. So Tim, Neil Critchley's tried to stem this tide of Tigers on 87 minutes. He's made another change. Ben Woodburn for Jerry Yates. Trying to pack the midfield, I guess, and bringing Yates off, who's put a big shift in. Do you think that was the right call? Ultimately, it was. In hindsight, he's another attacking midfielder, isn't it?
He is, but I think Yates had probably done a lot of running down, and what you don't always see, because sometimes it's off camera, is how much work. Yeah, I mean, again, we've not been in the stadium, we don't really necessarily see it all, but I get the impression from all the commentary from Chisnall and from Greenall tonight that how much Yates was doing off the ball as well, and I think he'd put his shift in as well, and I think it was more a case of fresh legs. And maybe not quite like for like, but a little somebody who plays a little bit behind Medine rather than alongside. And I'm trying to think who else we could have brought on. Really, I mean, you could maybe got a husband and push Garbutt up, I suppose, couldn't you? If you wanted to be a little bit more defensive. But I'm not going to criticise the manager for keeping the shape and keeping the particularly in those last few minutes. You start introducing defenders who haven't had a kick at the ball, and are they likely to make a mistake? So yeah, I think on balance, probably don't mess around with the back four at that point is probably the right call. And I don't think there was another central midfielder really, other than Woodburn, who you could have brought on.
Mm-hmm. I think, Nick, they were the right substitutions for once compared to the previous game, where we were pretty critical of this triple or hat trick of substitutions, if you want to call it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was the right thing to do at the right time, and we've said, haven't we, previously, what it does when you chuck three players on, and we'd have probably had a very different result if we'd have done that. So we criticise when it hasn't gone well. So you've got to give credit when it has. I think it was spot on.
So we made that change in 87 minutes. Woodburn on for Yates. I think we're all in agreement that it was the correct decision to make. But unfortunately, Tim, they've scored from a set piece, 89 minutes. It's the type of goals we've been conceding quite regularly throughout this season. Just an in-swinging corner. The defender's got up highest, got his head in it, and it's in the back of the net. It was a bit deflating.
It was very, very deflated. Equally, I
punched,
would say
I punched my
it was a
table.
very good corner. Sorry?
Yeah. I'm saying I punched my table. I punched this desk.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I must say, as soon as it came in, I thought that's a good corner. Listen, it was a good corner, good header, gutting, because obviously at the time you think that you've thrown 2 points away, and it was. We were all down, weren't we? I think I didn't at that point necessarily think there was any way back from it. I think we were already in the 91st minute, were we, or the 92nd? I can't remember exactly what minute it was. 89 was it? But there's as it happened, we had 5 minutes of stoppages, and as we're going to go on to talk about, we quickly made amends, didn't we?
We certainly did, Nick. And before the goal, we had another golden opportunity. CJ Hamilton finds himself down the right-hand side with the ball just on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he's opted to shoot at the goalie's near post. Bit of a crap shot, really, if anything. And really, he's got to be looking to square that, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's another one, isn't it, where you're saying get your head up and have a look and square it, and he didn't, and you're thinking that's that. Was there not a chance earlier on as well when at the post where it hit the post or hit a we should have scored there as well earlier on, where there was a couple of chances within.
That was their defender, wasn't it, that John mentioned before, I think.
Right off the line, yeah. He probably should have squared it, and you're thinking at that point, is that it? And 2-2's probably a fair result overall. But thankfully, we managed to get the winner.
We certainly did, Tim. Would you like to talk the listeners through it? What happened and your reaction?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who played the ball through now, because it was all a bit of a blur.
About 4 touches from players from memory. It was a great.
We were playing it around the box, and I can't remember now. Was it? I'm trying to think. It's a dark haired, so it must have been Woodburn, I'm assuming.
It was a little flip from Woodburn to.
Yeah, and then he puts Hamilton free in the box, and he buries it, I think, on the right hand side of the keeper, if I remember rightly. And I think every lounge in FY, etc., FY 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 went wild. I know my dog was howling with the way that we were going at it in our room. And what a fan! I mean, it's not for the first time this season as well, is it? That against one of the top sides that we've pulled something out of the locker in injury time. And I probably thought actually that Hamilton had a relatively quiet half. I'm not quite as critical as you are in relation to the squaring it, because after the header came in from Ekpiteta, I don't think he actually had too much time to think about it. And, he sort of got it on target, didn't he? And it was a difficult angle. But I can't remember, it was Medina who was like, give it me square, and was quite frustrated. But he's come, he's come in the middle, rather, so he's again showing, like we said on Saturday, not a one-trick pony. He's come inside and really done the business. And what a great way to win a game. And again, imagine if you were there and that was happening live with a decent crowd on. It can't come soon enough, can it?
Listeners, just drop in your comments what you did when that winner went in. Nick, what was your reaction when that last minute winner's gone in?
I went crazy. I was actually just getting up to come and make sure this was set up, because we obviously were straight on here after the show, and you'd messaged and said, let's do a check and everything. So I was just kind of thinking, right, that's that. And then, yeah.
You didn't do a Smith then?
No, I didn't. I nearly did a Smith, but managed to see it. I went absolutely crazy. Just like Tim said, what a pity we're not there. I think I dare say we'd be talking about a pitch invasion if we had been from the north, because it had just gone crazy.
North, yeah.
It had just gone crazy, wouldn't it? 94th minute winner against top of the league.
I'm getting bollocked for not mentioning FY8 as well. I think it's because I got up to FY7 and thought about not say that. So, but Bison et al. are pulling me up on it.
Any other postcodes we've missed, listeners? Get your FYs in. Yeah, we're FY6. There was just a very quick think I missed from Bison's there. 28 points from 33. That's incredible, Nick.
Wow.
Didn't realise that. Yeah, unbelievable. We must be up near the top of the form guy, mustn't we? If not top, has he been? Not that I'd want Critchley to get manager of the month because it's the kiss of death, but you'd have thought it'd been.
Yeah, it's just been. I think it was John Coleman got it, but Critchley was up there in the finalists. Yeah,
They won again tonight, Aki, haven't they?
they have. Yeah.
Away at Gillingham. So that's two form teams coming up the next time when we play them.
Let's just go through a few comments from the listeners. What happened when the goal went in? Let's get this up from Steve. My dog wasn't happy. My son in Darlington said his missus nearly went into labour.
Brilliant.
Ollie Vlogs, when CJ scored, I broke my headphones. Mick, I'm gambling Beardhall. I went wild in the hotel in Glasgow. I don't think the guests were happy with my shouting. They might have thought you had a lady friend with you, Mick, perhaps. Let's go through a few more. What's this one? Chris Harrison, me and my youngest were punching the air. 5 seconds before it went into it, said goal before I fall. So it's obviously he's found out about it beforehand. One more funny one. This is a good one. Dan Holland woke up the baby. Girlfriend wasn't happy at all. Come on, Mrs. Holland. Give Ben a bit of leeway there. It's not very often this happens. So yeah, the game petered out with not a lot more incident and 3 points. And has anyone seen the league tables yet? I don't know where we are. Not had time to check.
No, we were straight on here, weren't we?
Yeah, listeners, let us know because we've not had time to check the table or stats or anything. So do let us know. So let's move on to player ratings section of the show. For those of you who've not listened to the last two shows, we are now rating the players at the end of each show. So let's just start with. I'll get me little graphics up.
I've just checked and mine's not been updated yet. The table.
That wasn't it.
No, it's a Google one. I'll see if I can get another one while we're chatting.
Okay. Right, Nick, then let's start with you with Chris Maxwell.
Probably not too much he could have done with the goals, really. Thought he was going to pull off an amazing save for the second, actually, similar to what we saw against Oxford, but wasn't quite to be. But I thought we saw what he's about in terms of his distribution for the goal. You know, he's got an assist, so I'm going to go 7 out of 10.
That's 10.
Just as an aside, John, we're still 12th. However, I know. However, we're right on the tail of a bunch who are just under the playoff places. We're actually now only 4 points and goal difference off being in the top 6. So
you rate Steady Eddie Ollie Turton, Tim, and I'll just get the table.
Solid enough game without, I think, being spectacular. I think they had a tough task out there today, so I'm going to go an 8 for Ollie.
Yeah, just to the both of you, what did you think of his inclusion ahead of Gabriel? To you first, Tim.
I think if the decision's probably taken on the basis of not wanting to have 2 attacking fullbacks in the side against a team as strong going forward as Hull. So I think that probably, if Garber gets caught out of position, it probably allows the 3 at the back just to move over slightly and cover. So I think if you're playing 2 attacking fullbacks, it may be all right in some games, but not against top of the league for me. So I think if you're going to play Garber, then I think you maybe have to balance that with Turton on the right.
That's a good shout.
I'd echo that comment. Yeah.
Okay, Nick, big mark for you. Imperious performance.
It was. I thought he was great. He won so much in the air, and like I say, they had Tom Eaves up there for quite a bit of the game, and he was giving him and particularly Gretterson quite a hard time. And I thought they were both brilliant. I'm going to give him 9 out of 10. Well deserved.
The Viking, Tim, equally as imperious as his centre half partner.
Just before that, though, I think if I'd have had Pateta, I might have even given him a 10 because I thought he was superb tonight. So just again, I think he's come on leaps and bounds. Gretterson, very, very good game as well. I think it was the two of them between them were like the Great Wall, weren't they? Just nothing was getting through that, and I think he equally deserves a 9. Superb. He took a few for the team as well, didn't he, Gretterson as well?
Claret coming out of his nose at one point, I think Shizzy said. Luke Garbett, Nick, cause of a lot of consternation in our WhatsApp chat group before the game. Did he live up to the hype?
I thought he did. There's maybe a question mark for that first goal, but I thought he had a decent game. He got forward well, created some good chances. He set up the first goal. So I think if we're giving Turton an 8, I think you'd give Garbett an 8 as well.
Yes, decent shout. Right, Tim King Kenny.
Yeah, I'm again not his best game from attacking perspective and for aesthetically how it looks perspective, but I think he got stuck in. I think he battled hard, and I think it was a very, very solid performance. So I'm going to go for an 8.
Ethan Robson, Nick.
I think I'd match it with that score because they've had a real battle there tonight against a very, very good side. And whilst we've maybe not seen, like Tim said, excuse me, loads of perhaps attacking play, I think you've got to give the whole credit for that. And you saw Robson when he came off, he left everything out there. So it's an 8 for me.
Good scores, all these, all well deserved. Keshi, for you, Tim, another good game.
Yeah, he did. I thought he had a quiet first half. Great goal.
He's always involved in goals, though, isn't he? He's always he can float in and out of games, but he always makes.
I'm slightly troubled as to whether to give him a 7 or an 8. I think probably for the goal, I'm going to push it up to an 8 because it was a great goal, and I think he had a good second half. But I think first half he wasn't quite missing in action, but he was quiet. And but I think the goal was so good that it pushes him up. I'd split it. So I'm halfway between 7 and 8 with him, really. 8.
What was that GCSE score you gave the other week? 7 plus or
7? Yes, 7 plus, or an 8 minus.
Oops, what have I done there? Nick, over to you. CJ Hamilton. His score obviously boosted by the 94th minute, I'd guess.
Yeah. It's lots of 7s, 8s, and 9s in it. I'm going to give him an 8, just for what he's done in that last minute with the winner. He's always dangerous. He's an outlet, isn't he? I thought their fullback was pretty decent. To be fair, he was quite quick, and he matched him quite a lot. I think there's probably times when you'd like to see him really knock it past him and really run at him because I think he's just got. Well, we know he's got more pace than anyone in the division. But yeah, I'm going to go 8.
8 for CJ. Sully Kai, Tim. I'll just get his graphic up. Not his best game. Floated in and out.
I did say before, I don't think he actually did anything particularly wrong, but I'm struggling. He was struggling to make an impact tonight for me. And I think probably of the players out there tonight, he must be the one at risk of maybe stepping aside for somebody else. I mean, probably if he decides to play Medina and Yates, I think there's a shout for putting Anderson on the left on Saturday. So I'm going to give him a 6. I think he's had better games.
I think his place is definitely in jeopardy. He'll be a very lucky man to keep hold of the shirt for the Accrington game. Right, Nick, just to finish out our player ratings. Jerry.
Again, like he does every time he plays, he puts a real shift in. He's definitely more effective with Gary Medina on the pitch, but even when he's not. He's still very busy. He's got that goal in the first half. He's in the right place at the right time. Another 8 for me.
Right, this is going to be interesting. We've just rated all the players. Now we're going to give you the viewers our man of the match awards. Right, get your awards in the chat. Let's see your views. We'll bring a few up. So over to you, Tim. Now, give us your man of your match and why.
I could give it to 2, and they both play centre back. I always wish I could give a joint one, but I'm going to go Ekpiteta. I think that's his best game in a Blackpool shirt. He was also involved a little bit in the attacking third as well. He got his header up for Hamilton's chance at the end that might have led to a goal. And I just think that, he's a young lad and he's clearly benefited massively from playing week in, week out. And he's a different player to the one that started the season. And every credit to him. He was superb tonight against a very good team.
He is, Tim. Don't know if you heard Colin Greenall. He said exactly what you've just said there. He says, I really didn't know about Ekpiteta before. He said he was really unsure about his quality at the beginning of the season. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. I was pretty critical of him as well, but he really has come in leaps and bounds for the last few games. I think that's a fully deserved man of the match award there. Nicholas, over to you. Who was your man of the match and why?
Pretty much exactly what Tim said. It's between 2, and I'm going to give it to Big Marv as well. That was his best game in a Blackpool shirt. I know, we've let 2 goals in, but they were under so much pressure in that game, and he just won so much in the air. He was good going forward, and he just keeps coming on in leaps and bounds. I think we've got a heck of a player there against a very, very good side tonight, and I gave him 9. The more I think about it, it probably was a 10. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and Gretchen was as well, but it's Marvin for me.
I'm going to give it to the Viking. I think he didn't put a foot wrong all night, and he was solid, never giving the ball away, and just making the right decision. So, like everyone else has said, though, it's a very tough call, but the Viking for me. So let's just quickly flick down what the listeners are saying. Steve Hutchinson, the Viking man, followed by Marv. John Scott, Garbett or Marv for me, yeah. Garbett did have a very good game, had affecting goals throughout the game. Ben Holland, Big Marv, followed by the Viking. Bisons, Potato by Miles, MB, Big Marv, Dave. Marv again, great game. Andy Amac, Big Marv, Gretson or Spud. I think these are all pretty consistent, aren't they? Going forward agrees with you, Tim. Phil Hornby. That's actually too many. Sorry, listeners, can't get back through them all. But yeah, the 2 centre halves, absolutely superb performances. And long may it continue. And it does continue next Saturday away at Accrington Stanley. Who are they, Tim? I'll tell you who they are. They're a bloody good team this
our
season.
age now.
Yeah, and it's going to be a real test, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, you would probably at the beginning of the season you wouldn't have said Aki. I know when we were looking at the fixtures, when we were talking about this run we had, we probably thought Aki in the middle of that was a little bit of a breather where we might actually get a point or 3 points. And now I'm looking at it with if they're not top of the form table, we are. It's one of the 2, isn't it? And they're on a great one. When you bear in mind the games in hand they've got there, they've got a couple on us, but they've got 3 on some teams, and they look a real handful. Not scoring lots of goals, but to go away to Gillingham tonight and win 2-0 is a superb performance.
They scored more than us, 23 to our 19. We're not scoring that many, actually, are we? But we're winning.
Oh, sorry, I thought they'd scored, the way I was looking at it, I couldn't see the top. I thought they scored 14.
It's there.
No, it's apologies. It's because I can't see the top of the thing. So, no, that's actually not a bad return for them then, is it?
Bring it up there.
It was the goal difference. I was thinking it was the goals scored and get against in that last 2 columns.
So,
yeah, but yeah, it'd be a tough one. I mean, I don't know what the pitch is like there at the moment. Equally, I don't know why I fancy our chances. I think our forwards have got the ability to get the better of Nottingham, assuming he's playing. And if our defence plays like they do tonight, then I think they could struggle to get through us. So
Stick your neck out. What are you saying?
Not 100% confident, but quietly so.
Give us a prediction.
I'm going to go 2-1 Blackpool.
That's most unusual for you, Tim.
I know. I think it's. I'm still. It's what do you call it? The chemicals that get released when you win a game of football. I think I'm still. It's muddled my mind.
Serotonin.
That's the one I was trying to think of.
Chemical reaction you're looking for. Serotonin can be released in other ways, Nicholas, but we won't go on about that. What's your that Battle of Rave podcast is very good, by the way, that you recommended to me.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Any old ravers from a certain vintage, check that out. BBC Sounds. Really good podcast.
I'm that old. It was passed by. I was too old by the time raving came about.
Never too old.
Romantics for me.
Romantics. A Tony Hadley side party. I can just imagine you now.
Exactly.
Nicholas, your views on the Aki game. How do you think we're going to get on?
Excuse me. Similar to Tim, pretty confident. Although they are on a very good run, I don't think anyone thought they would be in 8th place after this many games, and credit to them for it. But I think we've got enough in our armory to go anywhere and cause teams problems. So we go there full of confidence, and I think we'll get a win. I'm going to go 1-0.
Listeners, get your comments in. How do you think we get on at Accrington? I'm going to go for a big win. I'm going to go for 3-1. I think they're finally going to see. They're going to feel the force of the Tangerine machine in full flow, and I think we're going to step it up at Aki, and I think we're going to blow them away 3-1 to the Pool.
And again, it's another shame that we're not going to be there, isn't it? Because it's a decent away to Accrington, isn't it? It'd have been a good following and a few pints before the game, but sadly not to be.
They've got that decent fan zone, haven't they? Now we are trying to get a preview. Well, we are going to be doing a preview, and Tim, I've seen if you can pull a few strings and get Andy Holt to come on the preview show.
Not bitten yet. I'm not bitten. I'll have another go tomorrow. I've messaged him on Twitter, and he's not replied.
So maybe get Christine on the case.
I'll text her.
And batter eyelids at him. I'm sure he'll be up for that. Right, listeners, that's your lot for one evening. Thanks listeners. I keep saying that. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, viewers, for joining us this evening. I know it is late. It's gone past 10 o'clock, so we're all going to turn in for the night. Just before you go, please, if you are watching this on YouTube, do hit like and do hit subscribe. That'll be greatly appreciated. So what have we got coming up next? We've got the preview show on Friday night with, I think Sam's actually doing one this week, isn't he? He's not otherwise.
Yeah, I think he's about this week. He's not doing his other bits and pieces.
Preview show. Hopefully we'll be getting Andy Holt involved on that. So fingers crossed. If not, I'm sure it'll be a great show as ever. And do join us after the Accrington game for our regular match reaction 606 show at 6 o'clock. And as ever, thanks to everyone joining us this evening on the chat. It's really been good to have you on. All your comments does make the show better, so thanks a lot, and thanks for downloading and listening on the audio pod. Oh, right, closing thoughts, gents. Anything in your heads just before I want to go?
Yeah, I'd probably closing thoughts. 2 things from me. First of all, every credit to everybody out there who's donated to the Community Trust Initiative. I think the final figure was around 42,000 that was raised, and Simon and Saganti are going to match that. So that's a fantastic effort and great stuff. Second thing is, will we get in Tier 2? If we get in Tier 2, we might get a chance of some football. I'm concerned that we won't. I think it's a bit too quiet on it. But wouldn't it be great? That'd be a nice Christmas present for us, wouldn't it? To have a few fans in the ground for Rochdale, and I've forgotten who the next game is after that, but probably half of us might get in one, half in the other. So I think we'll find that out tomorrow. So that's it really, but just a great night really. Great night tonight, and that's what football's all about, isn't it? That type of emotion and that type of sometimes you're on the wrong side of it, but when you come on the right side of a result like that, it's just, you can't beat it.
Nick, any closing remarks from you?
You can't beat a 94th minute winner.
And on that note, I'll press the button. Yeah, that's a perfect ending, Nick. So yeah, as I've said, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for commenting. And all remains to be said is up the pool. Come on, the pool.
Go
Up
on the pool.
And wait for me nice transition video at the end, listeners. Watch this. Cheers.
It's already changed the world. Small town from the north of England with a great tradition. Change the world.